Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean,
No,
Is
please
that
don't.
all right?
Please don't. All right, folks. So it looks like we're live here on Trading Nut YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Cam Hawkins. We've got Nick Shawn in the house. We've got Philp Blom in the house. These guys are not just ignoring you. I think they're posting on their Instagrams, letting people know to come on board and have a look at this, which is going to be an epic event. We've got 5 trades each walking through. We're calling it a battle. It's not really a battle. It's more of an education for you guys out there viewing, picking up some tips, hints, working out how these guys do it in the markets every day. If you haven't checked it out, Philip's video is almost at 200,000 views. So guys, if you want to get it to that 200 limit, then please, not limit, that 200 mark, then please jump on there and check it out if you haven't already seen it. Hopefully this one goes as strong as that. Now, quickly, let's have a look. So any technical issues out there? Can everyone hear us okay? And maybe, Nick, do you want to just give us a quick intro and then to say hi, and then Philip, you do the same, just to make sure everyone can hear us.
Yeah, so everything's good over here on my end. Little intro. My name's Nick. I was on Trading Nut podcast about 2 times before. The first one, I think almost like 2 years ago, pretty much at this point. And the last time was about a year ago. I've since evolved. Everything's been going great. Everything's been a ton of fun. Been a ton of people learn from me. A couple people on the podcast here. I think currently 3 people have all sort of referred to me and said this and that. So when Cam and Philip asked me, like, hey Nick, let's jump on and let's actually look at some charts together. That's what the viewers want. That's what people want to see. I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's jump on. So here we are going over analysis together. I think it's going to be a really fun video.
Cool. And Philip, what about yourself? How has things been today? I mean, you've just been on the show, so people probably have seen that video. Tell them about your tennis matches.
yeah. So earlier today, I played a bit of tennis, did some market prep, and yeah, that's it, basically.
Cool. Right, guys. So the format today is we're going to go through 5 trades each. We're going to alternate. First up is going to be Philip, then Nick, and the guys are going to do a bit of commentary on each other's trades, and that'll be a wrap. So let's get on with it. So Philip, do you want to start by sharing your screen?
Yeah. So I'm not really sure what pair I'm gonna go over, though, to be honest.
Okay, well, I mean, if somebody wants to chuck it in the chat, there is a 15-second delay. We could pick a pair. Are you happy to do any pair?
Can Nick start?
Okay, Nick, do you want to start, and we'll give Philip some time to think about what pair he's going to pick?
I'd love to start. Let's go. All right, guys. So those of you who follow me, like, I guess I could say here on YouTube, I'm on a Zoom call right now, but you guys watching this are on YouTube. I already released a weekly outlook video, but essentially, here's what I'll start with. I'll start with these pairs. Just so you guys know, my trading system is to find a clear trend and just trade a break and retest of only horizontal levels within those trends. So like something like this, like a break and retest. And then I wait for another level to be formed and another resistance. I wait for a break past it, pull back to that zone. I look for a retest with rejection before looking to take buys. And I only trade with trends. That's it. It's a very simple trading system. So this week I'm looking at GBPUSD. This pair is currently in an uptrend. We've got a couple GBP pairs in an uptrend. So all I'm really going to be looking for is for price to break above the most recent levels and then come back and retest those to find support before getting long. So here we are in GBPUSD. I guess I'll start with this one right here. Last week on Friday, we had this happen right here. The market formed a previous high and then broke past it, came back to retest, but then kind of fell through. I'm guessing this is the 1-hour chart. This is probably just because of low liquidity on Friday. Like, not many people are getting into trades right before market close. So nothing really set up here. So what I will be looking for on this pair this coming week, I'm just going to be simply look to take a trend continuation trade. I want price to break past this previous high that it just formed here on the chart. I want to see price pull back to this level and retest it. If we see rejection on that retest, if we see like a H1 pin bar, even a minute 15 bullish wick or something come to that level and start rejecting it, I'll simply look to take the trade as price is bouncing away from the level. I'll put my stop loss below whatever wick is formed as long as it's below this horizontal zone up here. And I'll set my first target at least a 1-to-1, if not a 1-to-2. And then after price starts moving to profit, if it does move into profit, I'll move my stop loss to break even after booking out partial profits on this trade. So this will be a very simple trend continuation trade. This is what I'm looking at on GU. Philip, what do you think?
Yeah, I have a similar bias on GU. Obviously, we've had a very weak dollar this past week. So, and looking at the fundamental parts, from what I see now, there's nothing to really change that. Yeah, to potentially change the strength of the dollar.
Do you want
Nor
to
the
jump
GBP.
into a GBPUSD chart now
Yeah, sure.
and do your analysis, and let's see how that looks different
Yeah.
from Nick's.
You got the screen share now, brother.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to GBPUSD. Where is GBPUSD? I can't see. You guys have the thing.
One more up. So there we go. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
blue.
Yeah, here.
That's
okay.
it.
Guys,
We're all in the way. Yeah, we're all in the way.
Yeah, so let me actually clean this whole chart. So from what I do is that I usually start from the daily to obviously spot out my areas of support and resistance, supply and demand. So that's what I'm going to start off with. So we have one here, which is this one is the only one that's really relevant at the moment. Maybe potentially this one, this right here being respected a couple times, as you can see here, once, twice, 3 times, and so on and so on. So this could be a potential area where we could be looking for big movements. So that's really all I do on the daily, nothing too complicated. We're obviously in an uptrend at the moment. You know, in my opinion, these market conditions right now are much more fundamental than technical. This is not a lot of, nice price action going on with pullbacks on the 61.8 where I like to have my entries. It's just pure, fundamental pressure. But obviously I have the same bias as Nick. We can spot out our support and resistance areas. So these are the previous levels of support and resistance being tested and respected. What I would want to happen to see a continuation of this this bullish movement is, breaking this area right here, because it seems that we may have, not really respected this break and retest. So I would want further like confirmation before just blindly opening a trade. So I want to see some, maybe consolidation, push, retest, and then I would be looking for entries. So that's my bias on GBPUSD. Now let's see this upcoming week on the economic calendar. Yeah, so on Tuesday we're expecting some, or we don't have a cons, but we are expecting some potential bullish news on the GBP. So definitely bullish on this pair.
So yeah, I love that you've taken like, a technical approach to it and then also added a fundamental approach to it. I look at fundamentals every now and then if it's like a big news event. So if it's FOMC, NFP, I'll typically try not to trade that day. I'll typically try to stay out because of the volatility. I'm not good at it. Some people are. I'm not good at it. So I just stay out. And if there's a major news event like Brexit or an election or just something really major, but I like that you use a little bit of fundamentals. That's sort of your own little tweak you've thrown in there. I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
As far as what you said right here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, bro. So one thing I love that you said right here is that since the first initial break and retest has not held here on the chart, like you see how price came back into that zone, tested it, but instead of rejecting and just taking off and continuing with the upwards momentum, like we said, it's probably because it was just Friday. Markets were kind of like toning down and getting ready to close for the weekend. But since we didn't see that initial rejection, we want to see that momentum come back. So I like what you drew here is like seeing a little bit of sideways movement, failure to break below that level. So it would sustain this level and hold its uptrend structure. And then also show a nice little impulse upwards before a pullback and then getting back in to capitalize on that upwards momentum again. But even then, this still just boils down to a simple break and retest of a horizontal level within a trend. And I see what you've done is you've just taken this and added a little bit more confirmations and a little bit more context to it, which I love. Looks great to me. Same bias.
How do you guys feel about going on to gold next? I see that's popped up in the comments, but
oh my God, what about you, Philip? You start off with that.
Obviously, you know, I was bullish on gold. Let me read some of this right here. So basically, why I was bullish on gold was because I maybe don't remember everything, but we had this descending trend right here, obviously being broken through and then retested once right here, once right here. This was a second retest, and this was a, you know, a not very clear, but a potential, you know, double bottom. So I was bullish on that on technical side. Now on the fundamental side, we were expecting huge weakness or huge negative results in the NFP, which did not didn't turn out that way. We actually had, let me see if I can find it. Maybe I can't go back in the economic calendar, but
you could probably
basically
just describe it.
yeah, the previous of the NFP was negative, so bearish. They the consensus, whatever I call it, cons, because that's a wall, which is basically the expected outcome of the fundamental news, was also bearish, but it turned out to be hugely bullish, which obviously pushes the US dollar up, and gold goes down. So
Okay, sweet.
that's that. Yeah.
What about you, Nick?
Yeah,
How did you see this as?
So yeah, let me show you. I'm going to share my screen, and I will show you, sweet children, what I think about gold right now. Let's see. Can you guys see my screen or no? Yeah, we can see this.
We can see it now. Yeah.
Okay. So this is how my chart's currently marked up on gold. The truth is that, so during my analysis today, you see this like ugly box of death right here. This is what I draw whenever the market's in a range. If the market's in a range and I don't see anything clear and it looks too wavery up and down, if it's really hard for me to make a trading decision, I'll just put it into a box and I'll wait for price to get outside of that box before looking to trade. So gold has just been in this range here on the daily. Yes, we have support. Yes, we have resistance. It could bounce at support, or it could respect this overall resistance and break to the downside. We just don't know. And until it happens, yeah, we can trade with the overall direction. But for the time being, we just don't know. As far as what's been recently going on, we do have recent structures. So we have a high right here. We have a lower high, a lower high, a lower high. And then we also have sets of lower lows. So some people could look at this and say, hey, look, it's kind of trending downwards for the time being. And they'll look at this and say, like, we're in a downtrend right there. And then also when you go to the daily, you could say, but hold on, it looks like it's in an uptrend because we're having higher highs, sort of a support held right here, higher low, higher low, higher low, and then a range. So in situations like this, like when I find it too hard to form a proper bias as to what I think the pair is doing, I just don't even look to take the trade. And for this, I mean, I think it could go up. I also think it could go down. It's this and that. I just stick to stuff that looks easy. So for instance, GBPUSD, that looks easy. Like on the H4, the H1, the minute 15, everything's just trending upwards. It's breaking highs, coming back and retesting, and we're forming new highs and higher lows as well. But for something like gold, it just seems like it's too sideways. So when it's too sideways, I just typically stay out. That's my views on gold. What were you going to say, Philip?
Yeah, also on the daily time frame, you see that break and retest, but really, I've said this for a long time. During these market conditions, I've personally felt like it's much harder to trade than before this whole pandemic, at least on the technical side of things, right? But you see that break and retest on daily time frame.
Yeah, I see it right here. But even then, like if the upwards momentum was going to continue, in my opinion, it'll come and it'll break, it'll test, and it'll go and make a higher high. Whenever price breaks and comes but fails to crack the previous high, and then it comes back, all right, here, we're going to try it again. We test the support. We try to go up and make a new high. Price barely was able to get past it, barely was able to secure a new high before just getting orders filled for sells and coming right back down to the support. It's tried like one, two, three, 4 times trying to bounce to the support level. In my opinion, something like this creates a lot of indecision. down. Like, yes, it could still go, and it hasn't really invalidated the uptrend yet because we haven't had a clear break of this structure right here. But at the same time, price hasn't made a new high, and we've tried like 4 times to go up. So in times of indecision, I just like to not even trade. It could keep going down, it could keep going up, whatever. I don't know. It's just not clear enough to me. So that's the only reason that I choose to stay out of any market that looks like this, including gold. So good stuff.
It's interesting. I asked the same question to a trader that's going to be on the show in a few weeks' time. I'm going to try and get it bumped up a bit so it's quicker to market. But he's got a completely different way. I've never seen this before of picking trend direction and at like some ridiculous accuracy, like 95% accuracy. And he was able to give us a clear direction of where gold's going to go, like literally for the next month with movements and everything. It was stupid, but we're not here to talk about that. Let's get on to the next one. Philip, do you want to pick the pair? Nick, do you want to lead off with it?
Lead off?
Yeah, well, Philip, you choose the pair.
Let's do USDCAD has been very interesting. Let's go with that.
So are you going to start or am I going to start?
You're going to start. We're going all over the shop here. The order is out of whack now. We're not doing the order anymore. You're starting.
Let's do it.
I'm keeping count. We're on 2.
All right, let's do it. USD Canadian dollar. You guys ready for my complicated, mysterious analysis?
Yeah.
All right, we're in a downtrend. Price broke this set of recent lows. I will wait for price to return to this area. I will wait for it to establish itself as a clear resistance area with either like couple minute 15 rejection pin bars or maybe an H1 rejection pin bar. I'll just wait for price to come into this zone and then just stop and like hit it and start rejecting. If that occurs, I will then look to place a sell and target probably this initial low as the first target. So the first targets right here could probably be like a 1-to-1 risk reward. So price, let's just say it comes here, starts rejecting. Entry will probably be something like that. Stop loss below the level. First target here at this area, which, you know, this, you would get less than a 1-to-1 risk reward, which going into a trade is terrible. Like, it's cool to get like a 1-to-2, 1-to-3, 1-to-4, 1-to-5, but your win rate is also extremely lower trying to get 1-to-5 off the bat. That's why I go through an approach, which is sort of like trade management, which is like, once the market moves into profit, I'll take some profits off and then move stops to break even, let the rest of it run. In this scenario, I'd probably have to target a new low as the first target. Otherwise, the risk reward just wouldn't be viable. So I don't even have USD Canadian dollar marked up on my chart. Does OANDA carry USD Canadian dollar? I don't even know why I don't have it. Yeah, they do. So here's my OANDA USD Canadian dollar right here. So I'll just take it all off again. But yeah, I'll essentially just wait for a pullback to this zone, wait for it to start retesting. And if it does retest and start rejecting, the direction's clear. If you guys are looking at USD Canadian dollar right now and kind of thinking to yourself, yeah, I might be looking for sells, then you're absolutely right. I mean, the direction is just clearly down. I will glance at the higher time frame levels just to see if we're coming up. The next super clear support level, we could pick out something in here, but what I see is some people will look at this and say that's the next resistance area. Whenever price is trending downwards hard, I look for the next most recent low that seems relevant. And in this case, that seems the most relevant to me. That's not to say that you could probably scale out partial profits at those zones. So if you do get into a sell at that level and it manages to fall this far, you're still in for like a 1-to-2 risk reward initially off the bat before even taking any profits. Then you can continue scaling out if the market continues to go down. But as far as like the next set of recent levels, like that extreme low right there, and if price manages to whoosh past that, your next target could probably be like this low all the way down there. This is just assuming that USD Canadian dollar continues to fall from a daily perspective, H4 down to H1 where the entry would likely be. So my bias is bearish for this pair. This is sort of what I would be looking for to happen prior to an entry. There's my analysis.
Nice. Philip, over to you, fella.
Yep.
I think you have to give up screen control there. There we go.
I give up my screen share.
Yeah, so I wouldn't really say I have any different analysis on USDCAD. I mean, taking into consideration that, you know, on the daily time frame that, you know, we've had, what is this? 600 pips just continue, like, without any retests at all. Basically, I mean, I think we could find a bit of a retest maybe to this previous level, this previous high, not a major one, but you know, at least a little retest back to this 61.8, maybe even touching a trend line right here, maybe creating a trend line somewhere. But it's really hard to say in my opinion. You know, these are, as I said before, these are almost only fundamentals. So you know, I can't see the future of fundamentals, so that's gonna vary, obviously, vary my bias. But yeah, on the short term, on the 1 hourly, 30-minute, 50-minute, definitely same analysis as Nick. You know, just simple break and retest. Target's not too big. You know, aiming for 100 pips, 85 pips, whatever it is. Uh, yeah, and maybe even on these lower time frames, we could see a retest to 61.8. Yeah. So
Ooh.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, next chart, what I want you guys to do is actually not try and predict the future because it is quite difficult, and there might just not be a setup. Why don't we go through a recent trade that you've done on one of the pairs? You guys both put any recent trades like in the last month or two on GJ?
Yeah, I can go into my analysis. I took a GJ trade last week.
Philip, what about yourself? Have you done one recently?
On GJ, nope.
No. What pair would you do?
I did some trades on AUD NZD. I did some trades on.
That's all right. Why don't we use that one for you? Have you got any from AUD NZD? Nick?
Me?
Yeah.
I think I did, man. Let me let's just check, Let's just go right in here into
Just
the
have a look.
trading journal. Let's go. Yeah, so it looks like I took an 80 New Zealand dollar trade on June 2nd, and it was a break-even trade for me. So yeah, we can go into this trade.
Yeah,
so should I
cool.
just start
Yep.
right here? Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. So on June 2nd, I took a trade with 80 New Zealand dollar. The analysis was there was an uptrend on the H4, H1 in minute 15. There was a break and retest with rejection, and I closed as price made a slow new high and then started coming back towards the entry at the end of New York session. Price ended up ranging up and down after the exit. So I will go and look at the entry screenshot of what it looked like as I entered. So this is what it looked like as I entered. This must not be rocket science to you guys, surely at this point now. It is in an uptrend. Price broke above the recent highs, came back and retested, and started going up. And that is when I entered the trade as it started going up. So this is what it looked like when I entered. When I closed at break even, this is how it looked. So it closed right there at break even, like as it was going downwards. The entry, I think it was like actually $80 loss or something like that. But it was essentially a break even trade. Price went down to the support again, tried to go up, failed to make a new high, down again, went up and made a new high, but then started coming back aggressively. So this was a trade that I took. It was a buy on 80 New Zealand dollar based off of an H4 or H1 break and retest. So that was my trade, good sirs.
And it looks like it almost got there in the end had you not had the break-even rule, but hey, it's still not there quite yet.
Target, yeah.
Philip, over to you, fella.
Philip.
Yeah.
I like the trade journal as well. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's a real nice way to keep track.
Yeah. So Nick had a Nick had a buy on AUD NZD. I had a sell position. So this was just a recent one. Our entry, we didn't see that pullback, but let's go into replay mode where I did have my entry. So basically, the analysis here was that we would start on the daily, right? I did post this on my Instagram too. We broke this daily uptrend, these two daily trend lines, right? So we broke them. Oh, this was here. We broke back into this level of support and resistance. So resistance, support, breakthrough, resistance, etc. Get that confirmation that price is bearish. I get my entry somewhere here, close to this resistance, targeting these lows right here. Such. Right now, our obstacle right here is this trend line right here. This trend line, right? So I was looking for a break and retest, and maybe these are a retest back to these this level of support and resistance as well. consolidation, wasn't able to break above, indicating that this is a strong valid level of resistance. Finally broke through. This was when I was sure that we're going to see a continuation.
Boom.
Okay, so at this point on the technical side, everything was looking very nice. Like even on the 1 hourly, we saw, some nice re-entries. I did get some re-entries, which I posted. Also, here you go, 61.8. This was one re-entry that I got, aiming for the same profit areas. Now, why I don't like these market conditions was that everything was looking perfect on the technical side. We broke all trend lines, we broke all levels of support and resistance, Fibonacci's, etc. And then just suddenly the AUD gets some positive fundamentals and gains so much strength, and essentially almost got stopped out at break even, about a 200 euro profit. But see, and now we
It
can go
happens,
over,
man.
yeah, and now we
Can't
can
predict
go
them
over,
all.
yeah, now we can go over, let's go out of replay mode. So what happened here with AUD NZD was that we touched this level of resistance once again, as you can see being touched. Let me actually use this once, twice, third time, and then we, this was where I had my short. We ended up having some positive fundamentals. AUD pushed up, touched this level of resistance again, and then we need to see that confirmation with this trend line being respected right here. So I had two key level trend lines in mind where I could have where I was looking for entry. So this one right here, which ended up being respected in the end, and then this one right here, support, and then yeah. So we missed our entry by, what was this? Maybe 20 pips. Yeah, 18 pips. And I had my entry here just because this was a area of support and resistance, or break and retest like Nick trades. So here, resistance, support, support. So this would be a break and retest plus the extra confluence with the 61.8 fib right here just before. So we, wouldn't risk not getting ticked in. And then stop loss just above this wick right here. And then take profit area at this level of support and resistance. Also, yeah, so that was that. We missed our entry, unfortunate, but overall direction perfectly called out.
So it's good, man. So it looks like you trade, same way sort of, but just with about like 569 extra confluences on top of that.
Brilliant. Look, right. I think was that number 4 or number 3? No, that was number 4. That was number 4. So we got one more. We might even have time for a couple more. We've only been on here 30 minutes. Right. Nick, do you want to give us a pair and just let's see if Philip has had a recent trade on that pair?
So should I just say a pair?
And just say Philip, a pair. One of the pairs that you've traded recently.
One of the pairs that I've traded. Let's dive in. Ooh. All right. I'm gonna probably pick my best trade from last week.
Let me guess what your trade was.
Man, last week really ticked me off, dude, because I closed like 2 trades at break even that would have ended up going for like another like 5% combined, and I was like, man. But let me find one here. Yeah. Oh, I got a good one. Oh, I got such a good one. Oh, no, I'm just making sure it worked out. Yeah. So let's do a New Zealand dollar JPY. Let's do that one.
I don't even have that pair.
Oh, you better add it to your chart now.
Oh my God. Obviously JPY crashed. Okay, so I mean,
actually, sorry. Should we get Nick to go through it first and give you a chance to sort yourself out there, Philip?
I mean, I could go over it. It doesn't
Okay.
matter really.
Cool.
I mean, obviously, this is all only JPY fundamentals, But as far as how you could find some nice entries on here, uh, with a market like this, I wouldn't add my 600 confluences. I would just keep it simple, like Nick, using my moving averages and support and resistance. So breaks and retest, potential entries somewhere here. Uh, this would have been a little bit unpredictable. Breaks and retest. Not a major level, but still. Breaks and retest here. Breaks and retest. Breaks and retest. And then
It's almost boring at this point now, right? Like it's just kind of like boring. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, let's go have a beer.
yeah, I'll definitely have a beer. But so on the daily, damn, I marked this up like a year ago, I think, this trend line. So we could see, potential rejection off here. As you can see, this is a very respected trend line. Yeah, so there's nothing really to this pair. There's just breaks and retests. No secret sauce on my part.
Well,
You want to take over, Nick?
I would love to take over, Philip. All right. Share the screen. All right. So for the super secret mysterious Bermuda Triangle trading strategy that I teach, the pair was in an uptrend. It was a break and retest. The analysis was an H1 break and retest during an uptrend. Entered after price came and bounced along this level in a bullish way. Closed at 1-to-1 risk reward. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. I thought it was going to come back. I wanted to get out. And I also think that it's because my brother was here. He came from Nashville last week, completely unrelated. I wanted to go spend the rest of the day with him. So I closed after it started going up during New York session. This is what it looked like, though. As we can see, price is trending upwards. Price had come to a resistance level. We struggled to get past it, not once, not twice, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 times before price finally was able to push past the level, come back, and then leave that really nice wick. You guys see that really nice, sexy wick that got left there after price crashed into it and rejected? Left that wick, kept going up. And after that, I was like, all right, cool. Momentum's still up. The H1, H4, minute 15, like everything sort of lines up for being bullish as far as the momentum. So I entered at that point after price started going up. My stop loss was below the level and the wick. And my first target was that this must have been like a previous H4 resistance area that I had these two lines up here. And we'll go look at the chart here in a second. So this was my entry. That was my analysis that I just shared. And this is what the result was. I closed right here at about a 1-to-1. This was one of those trades that was very painful last week because it ended up continuing. And then we shall go look at it right now. So this was on June 2nd, right?
Yep.
Here we go. Oh, no, June 1st. June 1st. I'm so sorry for lying to you guys. So let's go in here and look at this right here, New Zealand dollar JPY. So just for a second, just imagine, let's just imagine if we would have held this trade just for a second, 1-to-1. And like, I'm not going to lie about that. I held it for a 1-to-1. And this is one of those that was so painful. We can go and check. Because I think I shared this one in my free Telegram channel. But here, I shared my trading history from last week. So I was in 5 lots on that one.
Jesus. I'm going to go pip calculator right now, bro.
So let's just say that was 1K right there. Let's say it was pretty much 1K with 5 lots. So let's just extend it. Like, Philip, I'm almost scared to find out what it is. What is it?
Okay. How many pips was that?
All right. So I'm going to drag it. I would have never held it this long, but it was 435. Oh my God.
Bro, 20K.
20K.
Yeah, nuts. So we'll just act like this didn't do that. Let's just pretend like it didn't happen because that's painful to watch. But just so you guys know, I would have never held it that long. I would have probably exited probably around here after this consolidation, even if I had been watching it anyways. You'll never be able to predict moves like these. The only way you can capitalize on those is if you're moving stops to break even, closing partial positions and letting the rest run and praying to the Forex gods of truth and justice that the price just continues upwards. So yeah, to be honest, I
Actually,
would have
I
never
was
held it that
wrong.
long.
With the JPY pairs, you have to add an extra zero. It was 200K, I think.
Oh.
No, because like if this was a 1-to-1 and this was around 1 grand for me at 5 lots,
Times
if
20,
I drag
yeah.
it out here, it's a 1-to-11 risk to reward. This probably would have been but a 12K profit, adding in like swap fees and commissions and stuff.
Okay, so 20K. Yeah, yeah.
Whatever
Righty-ho.
though, like so that's my trade, guys. I
Yeah.
got played. I
Yeah.
got played by myself. So there we go.
Okay,
All
so
right.
we've done that one. Like we got time for we got time for some questions, guys. If you've got questions, I think that's 5 trades. I think we've done 5. We did. I can't even remember the third one, fourth. Yeah, I think we did 5. We definitely did 5 each. Hopefully,
Good.
yeah, hopefully people have learned a few things. Got some questions for you. So, guys, if you're in the chat, if you're on YouTube, please lob in questions, and I'll read them out to the guys. And it's almost like a trading that interview here. But I'm not asking the questions. You guys are. So, do you think scalping is good for a beginner?
So I guess I'll address that. I think it can be very challenging for the person coming into the markets trying to scalp. And it depends on what you mean by scalp. But whenever I hear the word scalping, I think of the minute 1 and minute 5 charts, if that's what you mean. So if that's what you mean, I think you have a lot better chance focusing on time frames like the H1, the 4-hour, even the daily. And I think you have a lot better chance just like finding the clear direction, trading with that, understanding market structure, how support resistance works, how trends work, when to capitalize, like looking at price action and stuff like that. I think you'll be a lot better focusing on slightly higher time frames and then catching bigger moves by managing your positions with break-even stops and letting the winners run and cutting the losers short. So that's just my outlook. I think it's just easier to trade a little bit higher time frames than lower time frames scalping, going for like 10 pips on average here and there. I think that's incredibly difficult. Even I would have a hard time doing that. What about you, Philip?
Yeah, well, scalping, yeah, everyone has a different definition of scalping, but on the 5 minute, 1 minute, I would stay away from that for sure as a beginner and just focus on the basics like breaks and retests. But if you consider scalping like something that, Raja does, wicks don't lie, on the 15 minute, 30 minute, it's basically the same concept like Nick, just breaks and retests, but on the lower time frame. So, uh, yeah, I would definitely try to study those concepts if I was a beginner.
Next
But
question.
really,
Sorry, go on, mate. Carry
yeah,
on.
but really,
Finish it.
it really doesn't matter what you do as a beginner. Just you start with the basics, and then you develop yourself, start understanding new things, and add that into your own style.
So the next one's sort of quite generic, but how do you handle emotions?
Philip, you start, man.
You don't.
That's my exact answer. I'm like, if you have a good trading system and things are simple and clear and you've tested it and you know what to do, emotions are not this thing. It's not this little nasty creature inside of your head, because emotions are driven from insecurity. They're driven from confusion and complexity. And when you have all of that like attacking you, yeah, it's very hard to trade because you get so emotional. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? How much should I risk? Well, should I take the trade here? Should I close it early? What should I do? But if you know your trading system and you say, well, there's this, and this is why I'm taking the trade. If you enter and it starts going in direction, cool. If you enter and it starts going not in your direction, cool. It doesn't matter either way. Emotions have zero place in trading because emotions are what will drag you down to hell and keep you from being profitable. And you only get that by really understanding your trading system, making sure it works by practicing it in demo for a couple months, forward testing it, and then moving to a live account. At that point, emotions aren't even like, they're not even a thought that pops into your mind. So that's my take
Yeah.
on it. Philip, if you want to elaborate, you can, mate.
Yeah, emotions only come to play when you're risking too much, right? There's no way that your emotions would get involved in your trading if you were sticking to a proper risk management plan and risking, let's say 1% per trade, 1.5, 2%, because let's face it, you have to be willing to lose that amount on a trade in order to win anything. So as far as you follow a risk management plan, you should be able to go to sleep at night with open positions running and not worrying. That was really the point for me when I when I felt like I was doing it wrong, because I'm kind of a hybrid between a swing trader and a day trader. Um, so that the point when I could go asleep and not think about my trades at all. That's when I really trading became stress free and no emotions were involved.
Next question from Danny Kingston. He's got one here. How long to become a successful Forex trader? How long does it take you to become a successful trader?
It takes you exactly 1 week.
Okay. And you, Philip?
1 week.
1 week.
No,
Okay.
it depends. Depends.
I thought it was 5 days. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a dynamic question. So, I mean, just a very brief to actually answer the person's question. I think you should not be asking how long it will take. I think what you should be focusing on is focusing on getting the right education and learning. And then after you learn, testing what you've learned, seeing what works and what doesn't, tracking it in a trading journal so you actually have the data to prove what's visually working, what's explicitly working. And then you can actually see what's not working as well. And then my advice is after you learn the basic stuff, after you test it for like a month or two, you'll have enough data to determine, all right, what's working and what's not working. And then you can take a look at what's working, optimize your trading around just doing those things. And then you're doing more of what works and less of what doesn't. The time is not even a question. It takes some people a couple months. It takes some people over a year. It took me about 1.5 years to be able to get this stuff, but it all depends on you. And what I'm just trying to get you to take away here is you should not be asking that question, especially if you're coming into trading. Just take the time, learn the information. If it takes you a month, cool. If it takes you a year, cool. Regardless of how long it takes, it's going to be worth it. I can promise you that.
Yeah, that's a
Same
good
answer
answer.
for me.
Yeah, it's a great answer. I mean, this is an old question. I'm going to read it out, but you don't have to answer it. It's Philip, how much do you make in a week? I mean, it's quite personal, really, isn't it? It's sort of like, you know, what's your salary for somebody who's in a job? Are they going to answer that? Probably not, but.
I mean, all I can say depends. It's different every week. You know, so 1 week I can make 2K, 1 week I can be down 500, and all varies.
Next
But my
question.
best week
Yeah.
has been around above 6K.
It's not bad
15
for
years old. My
15-year-old.
God. Next question.
Right. Okay. Somebody didn't watch it. What's Philip's strategy? There's a video on the channel, Trading Nut channel, where you're going to find out exactly. He walks you through how he trades. So go and check that out. Damn it, I've scrolled too far, and these stupid YouTube questions are so fast. Nick, okay, Nick, a moving average maybe gives you security until it is broken. That's not a question. Okay. Is it like necessary that we have to blow up our account a couple of times before getting profitable?
Nope.
Probably not. I mean, you shouldn't even really be trading a live account until you're actually profitable. And then on a demo account, if you're using risk management, that's going to be different for everyone. Some people will risk 1% per trade. I myself do around 1 to 1.5% risk on average, not every time, but on average per trade, 1 to 1.5%. Some people may risk 5%, 10%. But if you're asking the question, how many accounts do I need to blow before like I will get it, like that's a very poor question to ask. I think it needs to be structured as like how should I approach my trading in a way that I can get consistent so that I don't ever blow a live account. And you only do that through demo testing, and you do that with controlled risk. So I would, if I were you, the person who asked this question, I would focus on trading demo and risking a preset risk for every single position, no matter how confident you are in the trade, no matter what you think that you're so sure it's going to go up or down. Just have a preset risk per trade, test it on demo for a couple months. That way you get to the point where you're trading live. You're not even asking the question like, all right, I got to blow 3 accounts before I can get this. And then, you know, that's just ridiculous. So that's my response to that question.
Philip?
That's a good response. Same here.
Okay. Next question is from Emmanuel Yankson. And the question below is actually quite similar as well. So let's do both of them. What are the best sources to educate yourself in Forex? And then is it possible to learn Forex trading without spending money on courses?
I've spent $0 on any sort of education. I've got it all from YouTube and backtesting. I spend hours and hours in chart by myself, and that's really the mindset I had since the beginning, is not waiting for someone to hand me a course, or waiting for someone to give me the secret to it, and just take action by yourself. Go on the chart, spend hours a day, read articles, try to understand fundamental data, watch YouTube videos from trusted traders, and that's really how I learned. But I believe also that purchasing a course will significantly speed up the process of your trading and your understanding and you becoming profitable.
Nick, your
So
thoughts
it's
on
like
that?
it's a lot like asking, like, do I have to go to college to be successful? Like, no, probably not. But it depends on what you want to do, and it depends on how quickly you want to do it. If you want to be a doctor, then yeah, you're probably gonna need to go to college to become a doctor. In trading, it's somewhat the same thing. Like on my YouTube channel, I give out so much for free that like someone could probably just come to my YouTube channel, and they have. Philip's one of the examples, and a bunch of other people that's just gone to my YouTube channel, watched my free stuff, and it's not that complicated to put together. I mean, it may take people a couple months to do. It may take some people like 6 months to a year to do, but no, you don't have to pay to get results. I do have a paid program, as a lot of you guys know, but like that's just sort of a more structured, predictable way to get and stay profitable, and everything's kind of laid out. And yeah, I charge for it. I think it's fair. I think I give out plenty for free. And if I want to make a little bit of money teaching, then I can do that too. But to answer your question, no, you don't have to pay anyone to be successful in anything in life, and certainly not in trading.
Now, this question to you, Nick. I mean, how much was your initial deposit before making $3 million per trade?
So I actually don't make $3 million per trade. I make about $6.9 million per trade, and my initial deposit was $6.90 to get started.
Cool. Right. This is quite a good question. How do you see Forex in the next 10 years?
I mean, I can barely predict the next 4 hours. I don't know.
I'm the same. I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like if you're just trading structure to structure, trend to trend, it won't matter. But whatever's going on 5 to 10 years from now, I'll figure it out then. But what's working right now is what's working right now. And so that's what we should focus on, right? Is like the current market, everything's working fine. If you're looking at trends, if you're looking at dynamics like support and resistance, market structure, like that's working fine for now. Next 5 to 10 years, who am I to speculate? Who are you to speculate? Like nobody knows. I don't think anybody truly knows. And so like, we'll just figure that out when 10 years comes.
Yeah. From Jesse, he asks, better trading. So is it going to be better trading post the pandemic?
Probably. It was before, so
I think pandemic's been fine as well. Like
a lot of movement, yeah. But
yeah, pandemic. I think pandemic's been amazing. Like March was my second best month to date, and then last month, April. No. Sorry. Yeah, no. March was my second best month to date. But then March was great, April was great, and then last month, we're in May, right? May, and then now June. So May last month was the best month trading I've ever had. It was amazing. So I think things are going great. In fact, I'm kind of worried, like post-pandemic. What if stuff slows down and there's not many trends? I don't know, but I think everything's been fine. That's just my personal perspective. But hey, who knows? We'll see.
Okay. Now, sorry guys, I'm losing the questions here because they're coming thick and fast. So I'm sorry, I've probably jumped over a whole bunch here. Some of these questions I've already asked you in the show anyway, like what book would you recommend reading? I think we go and have a listen to the podcast, guys. How do you this is quite a good one. How do you identify a trend that has gone for way too long and perhaps can retrace hugely? For Nick, but I think you can both answer that one. So
yeah,
even looking at the NZD JPY pair that we just saw, where it had that massive bullish run, how do you how do you work out that it's gone too far? Both of you can answer that.
That's a great question. I'll break it down like super quick. So as you guys saw, you see how like whenever I first explained this New Zealand dollar JPY trade to you, I had this level right here, and I think I actually had two. That was saying like, hey,
we can't see your chart. I turned off the screen sharing. Oh no, you put it back up. Sorry, I'm looking at the 15-second delay. Sorry, mate. Carry on.
Yeah, so I'm like, so this was an extreme support resistance area, and I don't remember what it was. So let me just go back here to the H4. So if we're looking on H4 and daily, see this little cluster of highs right there? I guess it was probably more clear in the H4. I identified that. And the truth is, guys, is when you're trading, price could reverse at any of these. You just don't know. Like in the past here, like when like let's say you were a buyer and you got in down in here somewhere. You don't know when the trend is going to end. The trend could have ended right here at all these previous highs and it could have acted as a range. The trend could have ended over here at that previous high. It could have ended at that high. It could have ended at this high right here, but it kept breaking past. So my answer to that question is you never know when the trend's going to end. Now, how do you applicationally take this and apply it into your trading? Here's what you do. You simply continue to trade with the trend until the trend is no longer a thing. If the trend is not going to continue, it's going to start going sideways. It's going to find a lot of resistance. If it's an uptrend, it's going to find a lot of resistance, fail to break past that, start forming new lows, new lower highs, and then it will start forming a downtrend. You never really know what's going to happen. And so the way you actually like profit off of this is by simply focusing on only trading the trend when it is intact. If price starts slowing down within the trend, you don't jump into sells. You just wait. You just sit on the sidelines. And then if price does start slowing down and the uptrend fails to continue, and then a new downtrend starts forming, and that downtrend becomes very, very, very clear, then just look to trade with the downtrend. Who cares when it stops? That's what stop losses are for. Whenever the trend stops, should not be something that concerns you. Just focus on what the trend is and only trade with that trend. If you're not sure, you're confused, then simply don't take a trade. That's how I approach that. It's a good question.
Okay. What about you, Philip? Have you got a view on that?
Yeah, not really much that I could add on to that. It's same.
Cool. Okay. Right. Let's. Okay. Right. I think I'm back to where I was with the questions here. Let's get. It's quite a few coming in. Okay. Okay, we've had that one before. Sorry, guys, just reading through these here. I'm not the fastest reader, as you can tell. Okay, one for Philip. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Philip?
Who knows? See myself. Actually, I see myself having a trading floor. That's what I see myself doing in 5 years.
This is a good question. How do you change an aggressive trading mindset? Maybe you, Nick could have a crack at that.
So I guess it depends on what you mean by aggressive. When you're using the word aggressive, typically if we're associating that word with aggressive, we can kind of that's like under the umbrella of emotion, right? Because if you're saying, "Oh, I'm an aggressive trader," or "I'm a very like whatever." There's multiple words I can't think of right now, but we're sort of classifying as the word aggressive kind of falls under that umbrella of emotion. So what I'm saying, if you think that you're a quote unquote aggressive trader and you're trying to get all these aggressive entries and you're probably using higher risk per trade, you probably should not do that. You should probably just stop and you should take it back to the basics. Focus on a trading system that's data driven. Take a data driven approach to that. Keep it systematic. Make sure you test it and you have the results so that you know what works and what doesn't. With that, emotions are not even a thing, and certainly aggression won't be a thing in your trading. So I don't know if that's exactly what you meant by using the word aggressive in there, but that's kind of the angle I think you were coming from that. And so that would be my response, is like focus on going back to the drawing board, devising a very simple trading system and just sticking to that. Then you won't really have any emotions. It should be boring. Like to me, it's boring. I think this stuff is boring. Nothing else to do all day except sit here for 1 hour on the charts and I'm done trading. And then it's like, what do I do now? So yeah, keep it boring, not aggressive.
Yeah. Philip?
I mean, my point of aggressive trading in my style, that would be just I wouldn't really call it aggressive trading, but what I do is I capitalize on winning trades a lot, meaning that I re-enter on winning positions wherever, which gives me a much higher potential gain, but keeping the risk at the same level. So, for example, if you enter a trade risking 2%, that goes into profit. You get a retracement. You enter again, put that first trade into break even. Right? Let's say you have a risk reward ratio of 1 to 3, so that would be a potential gain of 6%. Right? You re-enter, put the previous one in break even, and then the new trade you enter is you're still risking 2%, but now suddenly you have a potential gain of could be 10%, 11%. So that would be my approach on aggressive trading. That's
What
what I do.
about, yeah, cool. What about, we'll get a couple more questions in. So is hedging a safe strategy? Over to you, Nick.
So
Gotta know
what
what you're doing.
it depends on what they mean by hedging, but typically like what I think people mean when they say hedging is like okay, I'm going to sell on GJ and so I think it's going to go down, but it starts going up. Oh my god, what am I supposed to do? And so then you go and buy another JPY cross pair, or you buy the same pair GBP JPY to let it profit as it goes up, and after it goes up for a bit and starts coming down, then you close the buy so you've made some profit, and then you still got your sell open and then you let it come back. So like I don't completely understand this, and I could be completely wrong in saying this, but whenever I hear the word hedging, I think you're in on the same pair on a buy and a sell position. And if you're in the same pair on a buy and sell position, it probably means you're not quite sure which way it was going to go, or you're not controlling your risk because you're not cool with just saying like, hey, if I'm wrong, I'm going to get stopped out here. I'm going to take a loss and I'm going to move on to the next trading opportunity. So my thoughts on hedging, if that's what the person means by what I just described, again, I could be wrong. If that's what you mean, my thoughts on hedging is that you probably don't know what you're doing if you're hedging. You should just like decide which way you think it's going to go, get in that trade, have a clear stop, a clear exit, and also have clear potential targets.
Philip, your view on hedging? You said it depends
Yeah,
before.
yeah, it really depends. You could be doing two types of trading when you're hedging on a pair. So let's say you're in a swing trade on, let's say GJ, right? And then you find some scalps in between on sell positions, and that in my opinion that's okay if that's what you're doing. But aiming, for 100 pip targets on both ways, that's just not the way to go in my opinion.
Right, from Justin, this is quite a good question because I think it probably preempts like I don't know, we're at the very cutting edge of what you guys are doing. So what area of your trading are you currently working on trying to improve?
For me, it would definitely be stop trying to find a perfect entry, because I have a lot members in my Telegram group know that I've had I have too many trades where our entries is missed by a couple of pips. I just really want to find that perfect entry on the 61.8 or whatever, right? And I end up missing out on several hundred pips movement. So um, that would be mine. Stop being too what's the word? Too
Picky.
Perfectionist, picky.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Nick, what about you?
So yeah, so that's an amazing question, by the way. Whoever asked that, that's such a good question.
Yeah.
I myself am always trying to improve. I'm trying to improve my trading, my business, my personal life. Like I'm trying to optimize everything. And so one of my biggest problems with trading, not problems, I guess I should say, but one of the things I think I could improve on the most is my exits. So as far as like trading, doing analysis, it's super comfortable for me. It's super chill. I think I'm very good at how I enter trades. I don't consider my entries an issue, my stop areas, my risk. But my exits, if I could get my exits better, then I could capitalize on so much more market movement. However, I'm very risk adverse. I don't want to put all my capital at risk. And so I'm a lot quicker, I should say, to want to just say, all right, let's just cut this trade at break even, or hey, let's just take profits here. I don't have time to watch it and monitor to see what it's going to do at the next set of levels. So I'm cool. Let me just take this profit off the table or whatever. And so that's a huge issue that I have is like, yeah, I'll let my winners run like half the time, but then I'll end up closing them early. And then we see what happened on New Zealand dollar JPY. And it's not that. Like half the trades that I close early end up going into huge profit. And so I think one of the best things I could work on is like my exits and just letting trades run further. So, hey, that's me. I still do a good profit though.
Next question is, have you ever, I'm just going to have to take a phone call here, sorry, but have you ever almost given up on trading? I'm just going to mute myself.
Philip, you go
Yeah,
first, man. We'll drag this
I
out.
have. It was like the first couple of months. I had this point where I was totally. I felt like when I was looking on the charts, I was like, what am I looking at here? What am I doing? Like this is not working. Um, and also my live account was going pretty shit. Uh, Obviously I had my parents, obviously trading on demo, right? Um, but my parents were doubting that, oh, this is not working? You should probably give up. So at that point, I took a step back, started getting my education from different places, from watching your channel. Actually, that's where that's where I started. That's where I had my comeback from. So actually, I built like my foundation of my new trading, starting from your channel, and then just applying all these new things, coming from from different sources. So uh, yeah, I considered giving up definitely one time.
Good deal. Yeah. I I wouldn't say I ever hard considered giving up. Like as far as like I sat down with myself and had the conversation in my head, like, hey, is there the possibility that this won't work out? Like, should I just cut it here and focus on something else? I don't think I ever came like that far into doing it. But yes, there were definitely thoughts that would creep into my head based on external factors like my situation still not being profitable. I thought I'd be able to be profitable in like a month or two. And so the fact that it dragged out to 6 months, I was like, this still isn't working. And then a year, and I was like, this still isn't working. And then I kept on going all the way till about like a year and 4 months, a year and a half before it actually started getting around break even to where I'd make a couple grand a month, like 2, 3, 4K a month. But yeah, I mean, there's been a couple times where those thoughts had creeped into my head, like, should I just stop and give up? But the thing that kept me going was that I knew, like, I had personal friends that were trading and trading full time and making ridiculous amounts of money. I was working like 80 hours a week back in 2016, making about 2,600 per month between two jobs, about 85 hours a week in total. And it sucked. And I knew that for a fact they were making other money trading. And the thing that kept me going was saying, like, well, they're doing it. Surely they're not smarter than me. Surely they're not any like better than me. And if they can do it, I can probably do it too. And so since I knew that it was possible, I was like, I'll just keep doing this. And even if it just takes me like 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, the day that I finally get it, it'll all be worth it. And then thank God for me, it only took a year and a half. I'm super happy about that. And I'm more than happy to have spent a year and a half learning because it taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about continuing forward and keeping going and pursuing what I really wanted. And I think if you guys are in that position where you're kind of like questioning, like, should I give up or should I keep doing this stuff? Like my parents are saying, go to college. My friends are saying it's stupid and I'm wasting time. Like, what should I do? Like, just take a good look around at the people actually making a ton of money trading and people living life with a lot of freedom. Take a good look around and ask yourself, is that something you really want to give up on? And if you do want to give up and it's not worth it, then by all means, go give up. But if it's something that you really want, stay with it because whenever you do get it, regardless of how long it takes you, I promise you it will be worth it.
Cool.
Great
Okay.
motivational speech.
Damn, I missed the first part of that. It sounded good at the end though. Sorry about the call. Now, I think we're going to do one last question and we're going to wrap up here, guys. So the last question is, how to control emotions after taking a trade if you're not sure but still took the trade? Philip, do you want to go for it on that one?
Again, emotions. Can you repeat the question?
How do you control emotion after taking a trade if you're not sure but still took the trade? So you're not sure on the trade, but you still took it. How do you control your emotions?
Well, we covered the part about risk management and what you should be risking per trade and how you should be feeling comfortable. But the part about taking a trade without knowing that's not trading. That's just gambling. Um, if that's what you're doing, then you should just take a step back, educate yourself until you feel like, okay, I feel I know I at least have better understanding of how the markets work, and then you come back starting to take trades uh, with the reasoning behind them. So.
Yeah, so my response is that, and this is going to take me about like 15 to 20 minutes to lay out here. So I apologize for the time. But essentially, here's my answer. What you should do: you should close the trade. You should close the trade. And my explanation why is what Philip just said. It's just like if you're to that point where you're like, I took the trade, but I'm not sure. Da, da, da. Well, if you're not sure, then close the trade because you probably shouldn't have even taken it in the first place. And it probably means you didn't put enough thought into the trade, which doesn't take a long time. It takes like 30 seconds to a minute for me to analyze most pairs. That's just because my trading system's dirt simple. The setup is either there or it's not. If it's not clearly there, I just don't look to trade. I'd rather take 5 good trades per week than 50 trades where I don't all the way know and they're kind of weird. And then I'm questioning after I entered them, like, should I have even taken this trade, this and that? So yeah, my answer is just close the trade if you ever do that, and then never again take a trade that you feel like 50-50 on. Like, you should just be convinced, like, okay, if I enter here, it's going to go up. And if it doesn't, it'll hit my stop loss, or I'll close in partial loss or whatever, or something like that to like manage the position. But yeah, don't take the trade if you're not sure.
Well, look, guys, that's it. That's the show today. Look, I mean, I've got to say thanks to, especially to Philip, because it is 11:40 p.m. in the evening, and the guy's played 3 games of tennis, and he's got school tomorrow. So,
oh my
got
God.
exams.
He's got exams
bro.
tomorrow. Oh, geez, let's hope you
I'm going to
pass
fail.
those,
Holy.
He's supposed to be studying, but he's here on the Trading Nut podcast doing a doing a webinar. So, to wrap it up, a couple of things. One is, first of all, Nick, Shawn, I want you to do the Trading Nut wrap up for me. I know I've seen you do it on the mic before. So just or welcome to the Trading Nut podcast, just for the audience. I know some guy mentioned it before the show even started. Go for it. Best accent.
Okay. Guys, I love the way that Cam opens up his trading. Sometimes I'll find myself at like 2 a.m. in the morning going on to tradingnut.com just to listen to his entries. And when I got this new microphone, I recorded myself doing it and played it back, and I was dying laughing. So I'm going to do it right here for you guys. So this is what I think of at 2 a.m. in the morning whenever I just can't sleep. I think of this. I think of, all right, everyone, Trading Nut episode 7. And today we're going to be interviewing Philip, a 15-year-old trader. Philip, you there? You there, mate?
Brilliant.
Trading Nut.
Brilliant. Absolutely superb. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
I had to take out my mic, bro.
Okay, good, guys. Thank you very much. Now, do you want to just let the guys who are watching still, how do they get in contact with you? What's the best ways?
Philip, you go first, man.
So I only you can only reach me through Instagram. My username is king.4x with a number 4 underscore, but it'll come up if you just write king.4x.
Cool.
All right, guys. For me, it is like, it's really hard to get in touch with me. I get like hundreds of really dumb DMs every single day. So I don't even sort through them. I have a support agent that sorts through all my Instagram DMs and also our support email. What I recommend you doing to get started, before you even contact me, you don't have to even talk to me. What you should do first is you should just go over my free content. And if you like my free content, then you can look to like go further and getting in touch with me later. And you can look at my free content by going to my Instagram profile and clicking the link in my bio, and that'll take you to my free training. My free training is about an hour long. I'll teach you exactly how I trade, my full trading system. And then you can watch that. And then afterwards, if you watch the free training, I give you free access to my Telegram channel, which I think it's got like, I showed it here earlier in this video. I think it's got like 27,000 members right now, but you get free access to that. I call out like half the trades I take live in there. I share daily analysis updates on YouTube. So just like sift through everything you can find on the internet about me, go through all my YouTube videos, go to my profile on Instagram, link in my bio, and just watch the free training. And then if you have questions or something, you can try to message me on Instagram, but I probably won't see it. It won't message you back. So a better way to get in touch with, I should say, us here at Mission FX, which is me and my team, is by just emailing support@missionfx.us. So it's just support@missionfx.us. And again, you can find all that information inside the free training at the link in the bio of my Instagram profile.
Sweet. Well, look, that's absolutely brilliant, guys. Thank you very much. And look, if you do want to find out how Nick got started and, hear his journey, you're not going to hear that on his channel. You're going to hear that on the Trading Nut podcast channel. So head over there. We've got we've not just got one interview, we've got 2 interviews that we did before this. So you're going to, and these were like maybe a couple of years ago, I think we first touched base. So guys, you can get that. Hear his full story. There's also a special offer on his course as well, if you want to take that up. And I think there's a link under the video as well. Philip, I think your program's so cheap and inexpensive that, there's no point in giving an offer. It's worthwhile. If you guys like what you see here, check out Philip's stuff as well. All right, folks, I think that's it. Thanks again, guys, for coming on the show and everyone for joining in. I like the way this has gone. This is the first one I've done without any technical hiccups. And so I'm so pleased that Zoom's got their stuff together, and looking forward to doing this again in the future sometime. All right, folks, I'm going to sign off here and end the stream. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you on the Trading Nut podcast in the future. Bye.
See you.
And let me just